Hello, it's Rain here from Clark Dental. I just thought I'd record just a very quick video just to show you the new functions and features of the Schick 33 system, because you're probably a long-standing Schick user, but your black wired sensor, there's a few new important things to know about Schick 33. So first of all, let me just show you the hardware. One end of the USB cable, as always, is plugged in the back of your PC. And then the other end of that cable goes into this little box called the Elite Remote. So just like before, you've got a sort of flashing USB interface box. And then plugged into that is a sensor cable, which is going to your sensor, Schick 33. Now, unlike the sensor that you have, this sensor is designed to have its cable changed rarely when necessary. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. When this eventually becomes necessary, you just lift that with a dental instrument. There's two screws under there, and you change it for the spare cable that was supplied with your kit. Your only challenge really is to remember where you put the cable, because it'll be a few years till you need it, I expect. So the cable that came with your kit has a little screwdriver in it and instructions, so just keep that somewhere where you'll know where it is when you need it, hopefully a good few years from now. Right, so let me just talk you through a few new things on the Schick software. So you'll be familiar with this layout. If I just open one of the images, you'll see that the image quality is hopefully noticeably better than you're used to. Technology has moved on. So if you look at the CEJ and the periodontal ligaments and the bone level, hopefully you can see that it's an improvement. We have a dose indicator over here. Now you see this needle is up here in the green. That tells us that we exposed this patient correctly. If this needle was way over here in the orange, that would tell us that this image was overexposed. If that needle was way over in the blue, that would tell us that it's underexposed. And of course, the way you adjust that is by adjusting the rate that you're firing your X-ray arm at, or your Nomad handheld X-ray unit at. So if the needle's over here, you put your dose up. If your needle is over here, you put your dose down. Obviously too late once you've captured the image, but it'll give you an indicator. If your images are constantly over here and looking a bit washed out, then obviously you need to put your dose up on your X-ray machine. So that's the first thing to say. The other thing with Schick 33 is, if you notice this little blue tab down here, if I just grab that with my left mouse button and swing this over to the right, if you look at the image, hopefully you can see it sharpening up. So that's an easy way to sharpen your image. If I swing it the other way, right over to the left, it makes it softer, more for perio, things like that. So it has a default place where it is, which I think is 44%. If your eyes prefer it to be over here, just put it where you want it, click on default, and that's where it will be. So that's the first thing to say. I just click on close to get us back into what we call the series view here. A couple of other useful things. It's now far easier to email images. So if I've got this one highlighted. If I click on mail now this assumes that you've got Outlook. So if you have got Outlook, just click on mail and you tell it whether you want CDR zip. Now what that means is, if you're sending to a fellow Schick user, use that one because it goes in the original DICOM format. And when they receive it their end as an attachment in their inbox, they just click to open it, and those images will open within their own Schick software with no loss of image quality. So that's good. So remember that's there, and it'll make life easier if you're sending emails to and from fellow Schick users. This one here, JPEG, most of you will know that a JPEG is just like a photograph, so just as you could email your holiday snaps to anybody, you can equally send a JPEG image to a patient at home, for example, and they'll be able to open it on their PC with no specialist software needed. Postcard, what that means is that they would have a postcard sized image, and when they open it, it's got all the JPEGs on it, so again they can open that at home. And then you choose whether it's just the one selected image or whether it's the entire examination. So you just select what you want. The patient's name and date of birth would be here, would be embedded in the email for you. If I click on send mail, because I've got Outlook, it will open the template for me with the attachment already there. I would just fill out the recipient, click send, and away it goes. And you see the patient's name and date of birth and everything is already there. So that's useful. I'm just cancelling that. A couple of other things. You've always had the ability to tile images side by side, but just to remind you, if I just click between the boxes, I can only select one at a time. But if I hold down Control that enables me to select more than one box. So now if I click on tile images, tile horizontal, it'll put those side by side for me. So if you've taken maybe half a dozen images, but you only want to show 2 to the patient, that can be quite useful. So it puts them side by side, and you've still got your little sharpening bar and things down here, so that's useful. And then when you want to get out, just close it. Just to remind you, as some of you may have known this at one point, may have forgotten, if you wanted to show a before and after image and you can't see both on screen, so you can't use your magic control button, the way to show a before and after image is find your before image, say it's this one, say this is your before image, bring it up large, minimize it. Now you go and find your after image, so maybe this is your after image, bring that one up large, minimize it, and now you go to your tile images. Now tile multiple, you could, if you wanted to, put 3, 4 images side by side, any more than 4, and it's pointless really. So but there we go. So that's your way of putting before and after images. Show healing on an abscess or something like that. Anything else new to show you there? Just open this. You've always had a flashlight, but now you've got some extra options on your flashlight. So flashlight here, if I just click on that, oh, by the way, zoom now, by default you're on zoom when the image is large. You can position your cursor anywhere and double click in and double click out. So wherever your cursor is, double click in, double click out, you can do that. You can also scroll in and out with your mouse wheel. Right, so contrast, that's a new button for this new version of the software. I'm just holding down my left mouse button. I can go up and down and left and right, and if you notice up here, as I'm going up and down and left and right, it's just doing that for you, but some people prefer that sort of dynamic scrolling. Just to remind you, anything that you do, you can undo. So just undo, or edit, list all changes if you've done lots of things and just undo them all. Yeah, flashlight. So you've always had a flashlight, which is useful for endo. But now, on this version of the software, if I right click, I can select other options. So positive, negative, I'll do that. Useful sometimes for looking for ledges and things like that. I'll right click again, magnify. That's what it sounds like it does. Right click again, emboss. This can be useful for endo sometimes if you're struggling to see where the root canal goes. You see this one here? Quite useful sometimes. Right click again, colorize. Useful for communicating with the patient sometimes, because sometimes they struggle to see, you know, the different greys. But if you say, see that blue bite out of the green, they understand that a bit better. Also good for showing ledges and subgingival calculus, things like that. And if I right click again, I can click off. You still have the usual whole image, positive, negative, whole image colorize, click on and off. You can now rotate your image if you put it in the wrong box. But that's the main new features of the software. And just to remind you, measure, if I just hold my mouse button, I can do a straight line there. If I wanted to do anything more than a straight line, I go up to the measure menu here, and I can click on measure, distance, multiple lines, for example. And then if I wanted to, I could click here, and measure around the root canal. And when I get to the end, if I right click, then that enables me to be free. It's measured that for me and added it up down here at the bottom of the screen. The other thing I can do from measure up here, I can go distance, calibrate. So if I've got a file already in this tooth, for example, and I want to measure that, I can say, right, using my left mouse button, I can click and drag, and I can say, right, I've got a file in there, which I know is 18 millimeters. Now it says calibration done, your measurements will now be calibrated. Can you see that says cal now? So now I've told it what that line is, and now I say to it, right, tell me now what from there to there is. And it's calibrated, so it'll tell me. You can obviously use a ball bearing if you wanted to in dental wax, so you could have put a ball bearing over here and you could say, right, I know from there to there is 5 millimeters now, tell me what there to there is. But most people, if they're doing endo, have a file of moon length. So that's how you do that. And again, anything you do, you can undo. So if I wanted to get rid of the calibration just by reset calibration, and of course the calibration is only there for that image, it wouldn't be there for the next image. Okay, so that's the main functions. I hope that's been useful, and enjoy Schick 33.